Hey, everybody, and welcome to tonight's edition of the Empire Team Zoom. I always call it a team call, but I guess it's a team Zoom, so we'll just call it a Zoom. Today is August 15th. Oh my gosh, it's Residual Income Day. Gotta love this day. Especially, is everyone muted? I'm hearing some background noise. Especially when I'm hearing. Oh, there we go. There was somebody unmuted. Especially the 15th of the month makes me so incredibly happy. It's like Christmas every single month. So happy Residual Income Day. Happy new week. Hope you guys have had a fantastic week. Tonight we have some special guests aligned for you guys that I'm so excited about. I even put on makeup. Because we know I don't do that on a daily basis ever. So anyway, I did it up for the occasion. But let's talk about a little bit of housekeeping first. This Saturday, depending on what market you are in, some of the markets have trainings going on this Saturday. You will need to register before you get there, $25 prior, $35 at the door. If you're in Colorado, the speaker this weekend is Pro 500, Mark Shinsato. I'm just going to call him Pro 500 because that's about what I think he is. In other markets, different speakers. So if you want to be trained, make sure you get to the events. On another note, we're hoping to have Ireland points available for us really quickly. I hope you guys are tracking those on your own for right this second, because obviously we want to be like racing for Ireland. They gave us 10 full months. We have 8.5 left. So I hope you guys are all racing for that. I hope you took the call to action last week, expanded out your list, reached out to new people, and have new people that you're speaking with. So with that, I am going to, let's switch the view really fast. I'm going to see if it'll go on Adam and Tiana when they're unmuted. So I want to introduce you guys. Most of you know them, but I am going to give them a complete, proper introduction. Pro 8s, Adam and Tiana Tim. They have been in this business for 8 years. They actually just had their LifeVantage anniversary the other day. And so that's super exciting. Adam just had a birthday. When I say they're rock stars, they really are. Tiana did hair for a long time, and I'm not going to tell you, I'm just going to tell you the really juicy stuff, and then I'm going to let them tell you their story, but I'm going to brag on them since they probably won't brag on themselves. So Tiana did hair for 19 years before she was, is that 19? Shake your head. Yeah. Before she was able to retire off of her LifeVantage income. She was literally working all the stinking time. And they have a beautiful daughter named Peyton. Adam, here we go. Flies planes, rides four-wheelers, just played at Red Rocks with Portugal the Man last week. I could go on and on and on about how great these two are, how humble they are, what great leaders they are. And so I absolutely wanted them to be able, or wanted you guys to be able to hear from them tonight instead of me. So we're kind of going to do this interview style, really fun. And so first off, I want you guys to go ahead and share a little bit about your story and how you got started. Because I want people to kind of hear, once people hit elite, people think that everything is rainbows and roses and that the beginning was just as great as it is right now and that right now is so even better. And so I like people to be able to hear a little bit of that. So if you guys want to start off with that.
Well, thank you for having us on. It is an absolute honor and always a privilege to be connected to you in any way. You've been pretty much our biggest mentor in this business and also great friend. And we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for you, honestly. So thank you for your greatness and for always I'm going to get choked up. Take it over.
I think what she's trying to say is we're really thankful for you, Amber. and you made this more of a journey for us than anything else. You were going through some difficult times in life, and so were we. And I think we connected, through those stories and through those feelings and emotions. And so it's been really cool to like grow through this process with you, and having you as an accountability partner, and, someone that has expectations of us. It's been very nice sharing the journey with you.
So how we got started was a client of mine. Her name's Debbie Robinson, and I am grateful for her every single day. I think about her when I wake up, and also when I go to bed, and probably 100 times in between. But it was actually Wednesday, August 11th, and my Wednesday appointment, the same lady that I had every single Wednesday for 11 years. She was on vacation. I had only missed maybe 5 Wednesdays out of that time that I didn't do her hair. And it was that Wednesday that Debbie walked in, and I had seen her a couple of months prior. And she's a school teacher, and it was at the end of the school year. And most teachers look tired and haggard and exhausted at the end of the school year. And she had looked haggard in June, but then when she walked in August, she just looked amazing. Like, she looked like she had had a 5-star summer. And so I asked her about it, and really her summer wasn't all that great. Like, long story short, she should have looked haggard still, but even worse than what she had looked in June. And she just started telling me about this, and at the end of it I said, well, that's horrible, but you look damn good, so what have you been doing? Because her skin looked different. Like, the tonality on her skin was so even, and the fine lines and wrinkles that had been there were not there anymore, and she had this glow to her skin. And then I touched her hair, and nothing changes for the good in hair. It's always always the worst. And I knew she wasn't using hair products in her hair, and so that's when I really started bombarding her with questions. And she pulls this ugly little brown bottle out of her purse and shakes it, and she goes, well, it's probably this. And I'm thinking that she's been using this product for like months. And so I asked her, I'm like, well, how long have you been using it? She said, oh, about 3.5 weeks. And I went, what? Because I was tired. We were at a place in life that I had just closed a hair salon, lost a total of $150,000, but $50,000 of it was our money that we really didn't have. And I was in a bad spot because I had put my family in a financially bad situation. We had just closed the salon, and I had moved to a different location. In the process of moving, every time you move, you lose at least 10% of your clients. And I was just tired and worn and wishing that there was just another way. And I had no idea what it was going to be, because I had tried to do more of what I was already good at, and I had failed miserably. And so when Debbie shared this with me, she shook the bottle, and I said, well, what does it do? And she said it reduces oxidative stress. And I kind of rolled my eyes, because I'd been hearing about oxidative stress and free radicals and all the things that you can do to basically violate your body since I was 13 years old from my mom. She was a very passionate's kind of a little word to use for her. She was like crazy about trying to find something to reduce oxidative stress. And the reason for that is because she had had ulcerative colitis. And at the time, and still now, there's not much known about it. And so my mom was trying to avoid getting a colostomy bag. She was high fashion, and a colostomy bag would not go well with a Chanel bag. And so when Debbie was telling me about this, I said, well, how do you know? How do you know that this reduces oxidative stress? And she said, well, it's patented. And that's when I really was like, oh, that is, you're being lied to. And so she invited me to go to a meeting, and I wasn't a meeting person. I wasn't even a people person, but I wanted to know about this patent, and if it was true and if it was real. And so she invited me to the meeting, and I went. And honestly, I was so amazed by the people that were there. When I was looking around, everyone there had a nice glow on their skin. And I actually sat next to Miss Susie Bearcruz, and she was completely fantastic. And I asked her, like, is that person a distributor? And I went through the whole room. She said, what are you doing? And I said, she's like, you pointed out every distributor And I said, well, you can tell there's a glow on their skin. Like, they just look healthy. And she goes, you know about the glow? And I said, yeah, I know about the glow. And so I went home that night completely on fire. I was trying to get a hold of Adam. He had gone on tour to play some shows up in South Dakota at the Sturgis rally. And there's not a lot of cell phone service in the Black Hills, so I could never get a hold of him. And I was just amazed because everything that my mom had been looking for when I was growing up, it was right there in this bottle. And she never lived to see it. She passed away in 2007. And so her seeds of wisdom and annoyance on my, like, it was so annoying growing up with a mom that was fanatical about health stuff, because really 30 years ago, she was thought of as like the witch doctor of the neighborhood. And she annoyed everybody because she would tell people like what they were doing wrong for their health and how they were raising their kids the wrong way. And I just couldn't believe that it kind of all came together at that time. And so I had said, at the meeting, I said I was going to become a distributor, because when you're a hairstylist and you become a distributor of something, you're automatically going to get a discount on products. And so I thought, well, I'll be a distributor because we're all going to take this. And what I missed out on in the meeting, and it's not that it wasn't said, it was just that I wasn't listening, because when I found out that the patents were real and it was for what it did for the body, I was in shock. Like, that has never happened before ever on a natural product. My mom always talked about that. And still to this day, like, Protandim is the only natural supplement that has been granted patents for what it does for the body, which means that whether you believe it or not, or you feel it or not, it's working, because it has to work 100% of the time. And right after it was said or talked about the patents, it was also said that I could be a customer for the same price as a distributor, but I didn't hear that part. And thank God, because I would have just became a distributor, or I would have just become a customer and just taken the products and not done anything with the business. But instead, I signed up a few nights later in the middle of the night. I waited until after Adam's birthday so that I wasn't using the last of our money, which we didn't have any money. We were completely broke at that time. We had $749 on a Bank of America credit card. That was our emergency money, but at the time it was our only money. And Adam had come back from the Black Hills, and he had to be back at the airport 3 hours later to go to Europe for an almost 3-week tour. And I was going to tell him about this during that time, but he just looked tired and worn out and sick of life. The same stresses that I was having, I could see it all over his face. So I thought, well, I'll just tell him when he gets home, and I'm going to do this anyways. So I dropped him off at the airport on his birthday, waited until after midnight, and then I signed up on August the 13th. And then when he came home, go ahead, Adam. Oh, actually, I should say, when he came home, I was going to give him like a little bit of time to acclimate being back. So I thought I'll wait like 24 hours and then I'll share this with him. But within like 15 minutes of being home, he saw a difference on me, just like I had seen on Debbie Robinson. And he said, you know, you look really good. You look like you're feeling better. Is everything going great? And oh man, the floodgates open, and I was like, oh my God, I got something to tell you. And blah, 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 blah. And it wasn't received well at all. He looked at me and he said, you didn't sign up for a network marketing company, did you? And I said, oh my gosh, you know what that is? Because I've been trying to figure out what network marketing means and nobody will give me a straight answer. And he said, yeah, it's a complete scam. I can't believe that you would do this. And I tried to get him to watch the video. He wouldn't watch the video. And honestly, it took almost 3 weeks for him to watch the video, and it wasn't because of me. It was because he saw a difference in our dog. But I'll let you tell your part of the story.
Well, before we go on, do you want to interject, Amber, on anything?
I don't. I love this story, and I think like more people need to hear it. I love that we have time for you guys to be candid and honest, and people to be able to hear like what it's really like, because a lot of people, you know, struggled a lot in the beginning to make decisions. Or I love that you had $749 on a Bank of America credit card and you took a risk, and did the risk pay off? So no, I want you to just keep on ahead going.
Thank you.
Okay. So, I mean, yeah, I went into this thing kicking and screaming, but, you know, to be fair to myself, we had a lot of stuff going on. It just wasn't really making ends meet. And so at the time, I was in 3 different bands. I had about, you know, 75 to 100 songs swimming through my head that I could play at any time, because that's what it took to, you know, be in 3 bands at one time. And I was trying to make those a success for us, after also being let go from a major label with one of my bands, which, you know, eventually fell apart. We're all still great friends, thankfully, but, you know, that fell apart around the time that the hair salon fell apart. And so, like, there was a lot of things on our plate. And so when, you know, I was asking Tiana the questions about what she spent our money on, it wasn't just a money thing. It was a money thing. It was starting something new, knowing that I was going to have to pour my heart and my time into this, because that's the way I do things. I don't like to just dilly-dally. Like, when I do something, I like to go big and go strong, and, you know, and do it to the best of my ability with, you know, every single ounce of my passion. So I knew I was going to have to do that with this. And I don't know if I was ready for that at the same time that Tiana was ready for it. And she was ready for it before me, because Tiana was the one that was paying the bills when I was away, you know, on tours and spending a lot of time away from the family, trying to make ends meet. So 2 of those 3 bands that I was in at the time were also touring bands. And I was actually on a band tour when we hit Pro 8. We didn't even know we hit Pro 8. We were just out doing the things and having the actions and the conversations. And, you know, I'm in the middle of, I think, Iowa. And so is Tiana, doing meetings. And we were like 2 ships passing in the night, one on a band tour, one on a Life Vantage meeting tour. And, you know, Jill Campbell calls up Tiana and says, "Hey, you guys just hit Pro 8. And we're like, wow, I mean, we didn't expect that, you know. But I mean, what great news and what great energy and what great proof that 2 scatterbrained people that have far-fetched dreams actually achieved something in this industry that supposedly nobody really has success in."
But I do, you know, and looking back, like, I had no clue what network marketing was. I had never heard of it. Like, I had heard of these weird little companies, but I always thought, like, well, why don't you just go to the store and buy what you need? I didn't understand the model of this business. And when I finally, because it was really Adam's career in music that made me understand what residual income was and what a cool thing that we had with Life Vantage, was because he receives royalty checks. He gets them quarterly. And it was something that our family always looked forward to, of seeing how the royalty checks would grow. And unfortunately, like, his royalty checks are split 6 different ways because of the bands that he's been in. With this, it was just one residual check. And yes, we got it, but from the work that we did, other people could build their own residual checks, which I thought was way better than the music business. And I also, when I understood that it was kind of the same thing, you know, when a song gets played, you get a little bit. Well, when a bottle of anything, any of the products get purchased, we get a little bit. And not only do we get a little bit, but 9 other people get a little bit. And that was so exciting to me. So I was so grateful. It was actually Patty Goolsby who broke it down to me and explained what the residual income was and how it worked. And so when I realized that this was something that anyone could do, all they had to do was talk, I thought, well, I can do that. And I wasn't a people person. Like, I hated being around people. Like, at the time, after spending 19 years touching people and listening to people all day, even though I loved what I did, I loved and felt so blessed that I always had a career that I loved to be a part of. It was wearing on me. Like, people's stories were bringing me down. And really, the whole economic downturn that happened in 2008, it didn't affect my business, but it affected the people that were in a part of my clientele. And by 2010, when this was brought to me, I'd go home at night and just worry about people all the time. Like I had 500 storylines going on in my head, and I worried about everybody. And so this was something that brought a lot of joy to my life. Going to a LifeVantage meeting and seeing people excited about something, putting themselves out there, even people who, I never saw anyone who would be like, oh yeah, well, of course they're having success because they have X, Y, and Z. It wasn't like that. It was just random, average, but great people that were having tremendous success, and they were getting to share something great and be honest all the time. And that was something I loved too, because when you're a hairstylist, making or selling retail is a big portion of income, depending on what salon you're in. But for me, it was a big portion of our income, and I hated sales. So I would never recommend anything to someone that they didn't need. Like if they're looking for shampoo, great, but I wasn't trying to talk them into products. I hated that part of sales. And with this, I knew that I was going to share this with everybody I knew, because in the 5 minutes from the first 5 minutes I put Protandim in my body, I felt it. Adam didn't feel it, but I felt it. And I thought, well, my gosh, like, of course I'm going to share this with people. Why wouldn't everybody want to take this? Like, it affects everyone who's breathing, and that's everyone that's alive. And then when you add in the fact that every mammal gets to benefit it as well, it's like, why wouldn't you share it with everybody? And so I think one of the greatest things for me is that I had no clue what network marketing was. So I didn't have it in my mind that this was supposed to be a hard industry or a hard business, which I think a lot of people have it set in their mind that it's going to be really hard and it's going to be a tough struggle. And yes, it can be, just because you have to put yourself out there and you have to talk to people. But it's not hard because you're sharing something great. I fell in love with this, and just like anything else, I like to share things that I love. Just like I love to share things about my family or what I'm passionate about. This became a passion and a love of mine. So instead of it being hard, which I guess looking back now, like, yeah, it could be hard because we shoved it into the nooks and crannies of our life, which we didn't have any nooks and crannies. But when you love something, it's amazing how you'll find the time to be able to do it. And so starting out, I listened to you. You said you got to plug in. You got to have a 200 PV. You got to talk to at least 15 people a month. You have to have a home meeting, which I refused for 2 months. And basically just being a team player. And I thought it was, I look back now and I go, it's like the coolest, greatest experience to be able to share something that you love and get a return on. There's movies and books and music and restaurants and you name it that we have shared with people, but never once did we get a little check back saying thank you for opening your mouth and sharing. And this was that. It was getting paid for sharing something great.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. I love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. You guys touched on so many different things. I want to know, like, Adam, I want to hear from you. What built your belief? What broadened your vision for network marketing as a whole?
To start off with, it was seeing the differences and seeing that we had something that actually changed. Because Tiana, she talks about her mom, and so do I in this business, as, she foresaw this thing happening, but she never lived to experience it. And, we knew that it was important when we first saw this thing. I mean, even when Tiana first mentioned oxidative stress, I was like, okay, I remember your mom talking about that and being pretty dang passionate about it. So that was a belief builder. Seeing Tiana do things different and like go into meetings, that was not, she didn't want to do anything after work because, like she said, she was wallowing in the stories about worrying about her clients. And when you're a hairstylist, we met in a hair salon. I was the front desk boy at the parlor salon, and I was going to college, working that job because we had a mutual friend that also did hair that learned under Tiana. Tiana was an educator also at that salon. but you know, I got to see that stuff and see that stuff go on with not only Tiana, but with my friend Kelly. And my mom was a hairstylist too, oddly enough, you know, and she had those same worries, you know. So seeing her worry less or have a possibility to like help these people other than just a temporary fix, which was their haircut. And seeing seeing the money come in when she was dancing around about the $13 check, I was like, big deal, you know, whatever. I mean, it was cool that it was paying, but then when I heard, well, we got to watch her go through the motions of hitting Pro 5, and and Peyton, our daughter, and I were just like, what is she so dang excited about, you know? And she's calling people to the last minute, trying to stretch those numbers. I remember her talking to you because I was hearing your voice over the phone, against her ear. And it was like this, something that she was passionate about other than doing hair in her family. And so that built my belief. Seeing people on the motocross track or at the motocross track asking me what I was doing different because I wasn't experiencing the same kind of fatigue and my endurance was building. And, I would like to blame that on the products that we were taking. And at the time it was only Pro Tandem NRF2. And I was using the True Science on my road rash, or on the dirt, like my dirt burns that I had on my arms from the motocross track. And so that was big belief building. People asking things that they didn't normally ask, or paying compliments to our family that we never really heard. It's hard being a young parent, especially of a child that's not, that's like not really mine. Peyton adopted me as her dad, but it's hard enough being a young parent, but kind of going through that and the way that people treat young parents, you don't get a very good, taste in your mouth. But people started treating us different, and I think it was that they were noticing that we were like happy in life, that there was something new to be excited about. And then, seeing that big Pro 5 check come in, that was an eye opener, because that was bigger, that was like 5 times bigger than anything that I made from music royalties. And it was just, just those things just kept stacking on top of one another to the point where like other good things started happening in our lives, and we were attracting goodness, and that was a real change. And it kind of took some, we went through some growing pains, because we'd never been through that before. Like, the most success we've ever had was the success with my band and the success that Tiana had individually as a hairstylist. But other than that, everything had always been a struggle. And this wasn't a struggle. This was something that was fun. And we love saying yes to meetings, especially when it's the right thing. But at the beginning, we were learning how to do this business. So we said yes to people asking us to do meetings because we, just like everybody else, had a story to tell. And we basically told our story. We ignored the comp plan. We talked about the exciting numbers of it because we don't understand. I still don't understand the comp plan. I know basically you get 40% back on just about everything you do, but up front, and then there's residual attached to that. But I never went deeper than that because I'm just not a numbers guy. Yeah, it was all those things, that were happening in our lives, and the difference in the different conversations and being treated different. It was all those things adding up to what, we took and we did, we accepted it and we tried to make it better and make ourselves better in the process.
I love it. I'm like smiley Miley over here. I have this plastered smile on my face listening to you guys. I love hearing from you guys. So to close us out, because holy crap, time has flown. Tiana, I want you to give one tip to our team, no matter where they're at in the business. The most important thing, I'm totally putting her on the spot, you guys. We did not prearrange these questions. So the most important thing that you think that they could focus on?
I would say, there's so many, but really it's consistency for me. Mm-hmm. Because every time you start and stop, then you're starting again the next time. So figuring out like what it is that you're willing to do, because the fortune's in the follow through of what you do. And, you know, you got to talk to people. And so setting out a plan to talk to X amount of people a week. You know, it's said that 15, you got to at least minimum to get things moving, talk to at least 15 people a month. Well, if you want it to go faster, then you got to bump that number up, but at least getting to the minimum of 15 a month. And you'd be surprised, because really that's one person every other day. But when you start having fun with this and you start putting, being your own accountability partner and making yourself follow through on what you say you're going to do and being consistent, it's in the consistency that you'll see the progress faster. It's pretty simple, but we talk ourselves out of it. And if you want to avoid the hard conversations and the start and stops, be consistent and keep going. If you have to slow a little bit, no big deal. Just keep going though.
I love that. In your guys' rise in your business, I just got to throw this out there. Tiana was determined to talk to 3 people a day. Yes, right? Tell me if I'm telling you. 6 people a day. So at the end of the day, I remember being on the phone with her one day, and she literally got in her car and went to the gas station because she didn't have all of her people in for the day. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm going to the gas station. I got to share with another person. I do not have my people in today. And so watching that determination, you know, is so inspiring. Do you want to share any part of that?
Well, and that was the coolest part, because I didn't start out with 6 people a day. Like, I gave myself 1 person a week when I first started, and I realized like that is a total wussy move. And so then I started building up from there, where it became 1 person a day. And then even then, like, it's kind of a wussy move, because really all we're doing is talking and sharing, and we all talk all the time. It's just a matter of directing what the conversation is going to be about and with who. And so I really stretched myself, because I was not somebody that prior to this that would reach out and talk to people. Like, my clientele was not built on me handing out cards. It was on people sharing my services with other people. Like, I never did that kind of footwork, but I understood that word of mouth travels really fast, especially when you're excited about something. And so when I kept calling myself out on being a wuss, and that I could talk to people, and my gosh, there's billions of people on this planet, and millions of people that are just in the Denver metro area, I was like, I'm going to wake up someday and be so embarrassed for missing out on this just because I'm afraid to talk to people. So I just kept pushing myself. And after a while, you know, you talk to so many people, then you have people that you have to follow up with. So after about 6 months, it transitioned into I would talk to 6 people a day, but 3 people had to be a follow-up, because if you don't follow up with people, you're never going to get anyone in your business. And then your conversations are pointless if you're not at least following up with people. So I had to follow up with 3 people every day and talk to 3 new a day. But honestly, I talked to there were some days I talked to 20 to 30 people, because I was so excited. And it's amazing when you have a smile on your face and you're just so freaking excited. Complete strangers will ask you what you're smiling about. And so that happened a lot for me, where I could walk into a gas station and get into like the most fabulous conversation with either a person that was paying for their gas or the gas station attendant. And, you know, a lot of those people never became customers of mine or distributors, but still to this day, they ask me, like, there's a gas station by our house that the guy's been working there for like 20 years. And he asks me every time I see him, so how's that thing going? And these people became my cheerleaders. And it was not so much in the conversations and what I was saying to them. It was about sharing my belief about what this was and where it was going, and just being able to get fired up and get excited so that I was fired up for the next person I talked to. So it's just a matter of making sure that I kept building up my belief and sharing my excitement, because the first year was not exciting around my house. Adam wasn't into this at all. Peyton wasn't into it at all. I mean, Adam participated because he thought that honestly, he thought I joined a cult because I was out giving my numbers away. I was hugging people for the first time ever in my life. I mean, he went to the gas station with me one day. I'm talking to the attendant who's having the worst day, and I just walked around the counter and I gave this guy a hug, and he said I needed that. That was not something that I would ever do before. And so pushing yourself and pushing myself to talk to more people, they're everywhere. They're everywhere, and most people are looking for something good, and we have the most awesome information to give anybody. So sorry that was a little long, but
Totally okay. Absolutely okay. We've gone over, and funny enough, you guys are so awesome that everybody's still on the line. So we're so awesome. But I just want to personally thank you guys for hopping on tonight, and sharing you and sharing your passion and giving people a vision of, you know, stories are what move us a lot of the time, and being able to hear where somebody was compared to where they are now. And I like to give the stories of, you know, sometimes, like I said in the beginning of this call, sometimes people think once you hit the elite ranks that everybody says yes to you and your journey was all great and fine and wonderful and easy. And so being able to share, you know, no, this is how it really went, and being able to inspire people. I know you guys inspire the heck out of me. I know you inspired everybody on the line tonight and everybody that's going to be watching the replay. So thank you for saying yes to tonight, and thank you for saying yes to LifeVantage. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close out for the night. I'm sad to be done for the night, but we're going to close out for the night. Thank you all for being on the call. We appreciate you guys so much. And same time, same place next week, 7 p.m. Is the Empire Team Zoom. So we will see you then. Adam has something to say.
I just wanted to close. I just wanted to just say something for Sterling Kidd up in Northern Colorado, LifeVantage family member. Just say a prayer or a good thought. Send him some love because he's going through a tough time right now, and we just love him. So sorry about that. Thank you, Amber.
No, thank you. He actually lost his wife today. So if you're the praying kind and you'd love to do that, that would be so awesome for him. Again, his name is Sterling Kidd. So thank you, Adam, for putting that in there. And thank you all. We will see you guys next week.
Thank you, Amber.
Absolutely.
Thank
Have
you.
a fantastic week, guys. Bye-bye.